Hello everyone. Oh my gosh, I'm touching my face. Guys, this is just part of the video to show you how difficult all of this stuff really is. Yes, welcome back to my channel, My Life in Our World. I really hope that all of you guys are doing okay with everything that has been going on. Obviously, as you can see the title for this video, I haven't really figured out what it's going to be yet, but something around the COVID-19 situation, and kind of like an update for me, what's going on in my life, how it's affecting me, and just kind of like sharing my story. I personally am finding more comfort in hearing other people's stories. I know everyone's different. Some people want to see people go on YouTube and on social media as if everything's normal, and that is what is helpful for them. I'm not that way. I feel like the more that I search for normality, the more that I stress out, because I know that the situation at hand is taking away from what is normal and what is our routine. So I feel like the more that I prepare myself, the more educated I am, the more that I hear what other people are going through, the less I feel like so alone in my situation. And I think a lot of people are like that. So I'm really making this video to make people like me feel better about what's going on. So in this video, I really want to give you guys an update on a couple things. What is going on with my Poland trip? What went on with my school, and what's really going on in Florida right now. So let's start off with Poland. To give you guys a quick little background history, I attend Rollins College. I think a lot of you guys probably know that, and I am a social entrepreneurship major. And that specific major requires that you go on a global experience or a study abroad. And luckily, in the summertime, I was picked to be the student site leader for a field study to Poland, and it was going to be about learning and teaching about the Holocaust. And the Holocaust has been something that I've truly been fascinated by since I was a young girl. I used to do a lot of research on the Titanic and the Holocaust specifically. I don't know why, but those were always two events that I was so intrigued by, and I did a lot of research, watched movies, and read books on it. And so when I saw this opportunity, I was like, okay, this is the one field study that I really want to go to. So I applied for the student site leader and I got it, which meant that I was kind of like the RA for the trip. And it also meant that I got the cost of the trip covered. I did still have to pay for my ticket, which was still expensive, but compared to how much the total cost of the trip was, it was definitely a huge discount for me. So I was very thankful for that. So basically since August, me and the two professors that were leading this trip have done a lot of planning, picking out the restaurants, the sites that we were going to see, just all of the logistical information. And basically, in January, we started having classes for our class that was revolving around this topic. And so every Tuesday and Thursday, all of the girls that were going on the trip, we would meet, we would have regular class learning about the Holocaust. And a lot of our projects and things that we were being graded on did rely on this Poland trip. So we found out last Tuesday, March 11th, or no, March 10th, sorry, that our trip was canceled. And that was really difficult to hear, because me and the girls and the people that planned it, the two professors, we put a lot of work into it, and we also put a lot of heart into just looking forward to this trip. And so for it to get canceled was really difficult, but literally since February, we've been very worried that our trip was going to be affected by the COVID-19 virus, and that it came true. You know, a lot of people weren't taking it very seriously, and I did feel like I had to really be like an advocate for my fellow classmates on the seriousness of this virus, and questioning, you know, how our trip was going to be affected. And literally that Tuesday, we had someone from the study abroad office from Rollins come to our class, and they really reassured us that we were going to go on this trip. We were supposed to leave on the 12th, so last Thursday, and I was literally supposed to be in Poland right now. Obviously, I'm not. I'm in my apartment. That trip got canceled later that day, and it was very confusing because In the email, it felt like the main reason that they were canceling it was because of parental concern. But Rollins definitely did the right thing by canceling the trip, because the very next day, I went into my internship early in the morning, and around 7:30 a.m., I got a notification from the Polish news I had signed up for, and they had announced from their prime minister that they were going to be canceling all school, all museums for the next 2 weeks. So that meant even if we went to Poland, we would not have been able to do any of the things that we planned to do. So I'm very thankful that Rollins made that decision for us, even though I bet it was a very difficult one to do, because we were looking forward to going on that trip, and we were only 2 days away from leaving. So a lot of us were already packed. A lot of us had already gone out and gotten little, travel size stuff for our trip and just mentally prepared to go. But at the end of the day, it was definitely for the best. So I'm not in Poland. There is talks of the Poland trip possibly being redone at a later date, but obviously with everything that's going on, that has no confirmation. So I really don't know what's going to happen. I'm still required to study abroad, unfortunately for me, which kind of sucks because I am in the 3-2 program, so I still technically have a whole year to complete that requirement. But as of right now, I have not made any plans to do so, and I'm still going to wait until this is all really calmed down to make any decisions about that. All right, so the second thing that I want to talk about is my school. So Rollins College is a private institution, and because of that, they were not included in like the whole decision to shut down the 4-year public universities in Florida. That decision happened Wednesday, March 11th, and my boyfriend was affected by that. And that basically meant that for the next 2 weeks, they were going to be going online. So the classes were still happening, but you had to log in virtually to complete the classes for the next 2 weeks. So after that decision came out on Wednesday, I told my parents finally that the Poland trip had gotten canceled. I hadn't told them the day before because there was a lot of happiness about this fashion show, and I didn't want to like ruin the atmosphere. So I planned to tell them Wednesday evening, and at that point the schools for UCF had been canceled. So I sat my parents down and I told them, I was like, guys, it is getting very real, and you guys need to prepare yourselves if my 2 brothers aren't able to go to school as well. Thankfully, my brothers are old enough to watch themselves at home, so if my parents were unable to take off work, they would be fine. They wouldn't have to find someone to watch my brothers, which I know is a very big issue for a lot of people around the world that have been affected by this. So when I told my parents, it was definitely a big, big shock for them. They were shocked that my trip was canceled. They were very shocked that UCF and a lot of the other schools had decided to go online for the next 2 weeks. And personally, I felt like that decision was the one that caused a lot of the ripple effects. Once that happened, I knew that Rollins was going to do the same, not just because they should, but because of pressure. I knew that parents are going to be pressuring them to shut down, professors, staff, as well as, Florida administration. So Thursday, the 12th, which is when I was not supposed to have class, my Poland class had been canceled prior, that we were just gonna let us like pack for our trip. But since our trip got canceled, we decided to meet and kind of go over some information. So we met at 9:30, and we were trying to reconfigure a lot of the assignments that had depended on this trip. And it was a little difficult because I knew that Rollins was going to cancel in-person classes to some extent. But I really felt like our professors were really unsure how big the possibility of that was happening. So we didn't really talk a lot about the possibility of us going online. And then literally 5 minutes after we got out of that class, Rollins sent out an email that stated that we would be going online for the rest of the semester. So That was huge. I know not every school has done it to that extent, but canceling in-person classes for the entire semester, like until May, was a big, big decision that no one was expecting on campus. No one was expecting Rollins to cancel in-person classes for that long. But that decision by Rollins had a huge effect on students that were international. And that is really the students that I felt the worst for, because they had to be moved out by next Friday. So this upcoming Friday, the 20th, they have to be out of their dorms. And for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, they have to figure out where all of their stuff is going to go. They have to get a plane ticket back home. If they're not allowed to go back home, they have to find some type of relative that will let them live with them until all of this has moved over. It's a lot. It is a lot. I mean, I ended up hanging out on campus the rest of the day just because I felt so weird. It was just like such an odd day, and there was a lot of emotions. There was a lot of seniors that were crying on campus because this is it. Like, this is their last week on campus. All of a sudden, they don't really have a Fox Day, which is a celebration that we do. They don't really, have the rest of their senior events that they were looking forward to between now and commencement, which commencement graduation is still in the air. No one really knows if they're going to have an actual ceremony because all of the students have to leave. It was hard. It was really hard to watch all of the students go through that. And I'm in a weird situation because this is technically like my senior year, because this is my last semester of undergrad classes. And in August, I'm going to be at Crummer to start my MBA program. But because I still have classes at Crummer, I didn't feel as much of like the nostalgia and like emotions because I'm still going to have the opportunity to be on campus. But some of these students is like, this is the last time that they're going to be in Winter Park for a long time. And it makes me so sad because I know that these are such trivial things to some people, but it just goes to show that this virus is going to have long-lasting effects on our economy, on our culture. Hopefully, I think that our culture and our priorities in many countries needs to shift and be less profit oriented, but more on just the well-being of our citizens. And I think that there's going to be a huge chain of events that happens in the recovery of the situation around the world. And it's very difficult to just see how a lot of students' key experiences that they've been looking forward to are now being taken away, without a second thought. All right, so the last thing I wanted to talk about, I'm sorry that this video is so long, and that is, what's going on in Florida. So I currently live in Orlando, Florida. I don't live right next to the theme parks. I live really close to like UCF area. And things are starting to get very, very, very real here. So Florida as a state, we got our very first case of someone who contracted the COVID-19 virus. And that was on March 1st, I want to say. I think it was like a Sunday night. And so that was about 2 weeks ago that they got to that virus. Since then, we have gone from one case to about 155, which for me, to see it increase that high has been really scary. I know that for some people, it's really hard because their countries or their hometowns have been affected a lot more, and that number has increased at a faster rate. But I feel like every single person is gonna, experience this differently. And for me to see it go from 0 to 155 in 2 weeks is still a lot. You can definitely tell that people are starting to freak out because we are, all of our grocery stores hardly have anything. It's very difficult to get any toilet paper, any water. Thankfully, last Wednesday when UCF had decided to go online, I told my parents that we needed to go grocery shopping then. My family is not the type of people to hoard things. Thankfully, I've seen so many people do that, which is just so disrespectful and rude. And it is a huge safety issue because there are people that need supplies just as much as other people. And I urge people to only get supplies for 2 weeks and then get canned foods for, at least a month. But there's no reason to be hoarding toilet paper and water. My boyfriend and I, we have a what's it called, water filter cleaner thing, and so we've just been filling up on tap water, letting the water filter through, and then filling up recycled gallons for that, and they're all in our fridge, and we have about 6 of those in case of emergency. But basically, we are prepared. Obviously no one really knows what's going to happen, and this is something that I really wanted to put out there, is that to me there's no reason why we should be questioning those people in authority and those experts in the medical field. You can go online right now and read numerous testimonies from doctors and nurses that are saying they are thankful for the dramatization that the news media has done, because the news media covering the coronavirus and COVID-19 so much has helped people really understand what's going on. I think that some people want to question the government and say, oh, the government has control over us. They're proving to us that they can take away our livelihood so quickly. But guys, this isn't a United States issue. This is an issue around the world. And we are not being affected as highly as they are. But the reason that we're being so dramatic in our policy implementation is because we're trying to be proactive. We are trying to prevent more people from getting this. And we're trying to help our hospitals by making sure that they're not being flooded and they're not having to make horrible decisions on who should they save. Doctors should never have to make that decision. They should be able to save every person that comes into their hospital. But hospitals in Italy and China, they have been faced with, who do I save? I have to make a decision and let one person die and one person live. And those are the things that make me so angry, because people don't realize this is real. It really makes me angry that people are like, do you know anyone with the coronavirus? I don't know anyone with the coronavirus. Is this even real? Yes. It shouldn't take seeing our neighbors sick to make us understand that. We should know that by us doing our part, by us cleaning our hands, washing our hands, staying inside, not going to big gatherings, that we are doing our part to prevent further outbreak. For me personally, I would say a couple weeks ago, I wasn't really worried about getting it myself, getting the COVID-19 virus myself. And then I would say in the last couple days, I have been really worried about giving it to my grandparents, because my grandparents do have health issues already, and I don't want them to be a statistic, I don't want them to be among the, 4,000 thousands of people that have died from this, because we're not taking care of ourselves and we're not taking care of them. So if you have grandparents that are as stubborn as mine, please sit down with them and just tell them, you need to stay inside. If you need something, I will go and get it for you. But you guys are at the highest risk of getting this and being affected. For everyone else, though, for myself, I would say in the last couple days, I've started to become worried that I might get it, because there is a percentage of people my age that are getting it. And even though we recover, we have a high percentage of recovery, a lot of people don't know that the people that have recovered are actually having about 20 to 30% less function in their lungs. So even though you recover, you're not the same as before. You are having further lung issues after you have had it. And that is something that people need to understand, that even if you get it and you recover, you could still have lasting effects from the virus. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video in some way, or if you have any stories that you want to share with me in the comments, please do so. It has been a crazy ride, and the ride is not over, unfortunately. But I feel like the more that we stay together online, and we stay connected, and we have phone calls with each other, and stay in contact with our family, and we stay safe, and we wash our hands and make sure not to touch too many things, and we stay inside when we're told to, that hopefully this will blow over faster than if we did nothing. And I think that is the biggest point, is that if we do nothing, this will go on for years. But if we do something and we do what we're being told, hopefully less people will die from this. Hopefully less people will be affected, and we can come out of this positive and having learned something to prevent something like this happening in the future. So I love you guys so much, and I don't know how active I'm going to be on my YouTube channel. I don't know if making this video and editing it is going to make me feel like maybe this is something I can put my mind and soul and heart energy into in the time being, but I really look forward to hearing from you guys in the comments, and if there's anything that you guys want to see me do, please leave it down there as well. So love you guys, and I'm praying for everyone. And I just hope that we can all stay in this together. Bye.